From our Main Street newsroom, this is 2 News Live at 3:30.
We are working for the weekend here on 2 News Live. It is a Thursday afternoon. Thanks for being with us live here downtown Salt Lake City at 3:30. I'm Brian Schnee. Of course, we're going to get a look at your forecast here in just a sec with what is happening now and what we're looking ahead to, but also what does it mean for burn scar flooding? There's some preps going on right now as we speak up on the hillside just above us here in Salt Lake City. Also taking a look at what you are able to see on our social media platforms when we head over to our content center. So I'm your starting power forward at 6'8", and at 5'3" is your point guard, Chase Thomason. I was just joking there, of course, as you know. As always, good to have you here because there's a lot of activity going on right now across the state. I've just seen some of the videos coming in. People are getting some moisture.
Yeah, especially in the mountains. That's where we get those monsoon thunderstorms. Yesterday, Brian, we had almost 3 inches of rain right around Mirror Lake. So I know you might not be getting rain at your area, not yet. That might happen later today. But some of these mountain thunderstorms are really packing a punch. And you'll see it's a very active radar right now in northern, central, and southern Utah with numerous thunderstorms. And the problem with this monsoon moisture is that it is not really moving very much. So there's not really a steering current with these thunderstorms. So they're just kind of drifting at 5-10 miles per hour, and they're producing a lot of water, and that can lead to flash flooding, especially those burn scars.
Yeah, and that's something we've seen over the course of the last couple of days. Those flash flood warnings, if you will, I noticed they've been issued around a certain time almost every single day, and we're almost at that time.
Right, we have a new flash flood warning, of course, for the Cottonwood burn scar. We're seeing those debris flows come down Beaver Creek. That vegetation is all burnt. There's thousands of acres, so it's pretty easy to get those mudslides and debris flows. But each afternoon, the peak heating with the rising motion of our mountains, that's where we get those thunderstorms, and that's why we're seeing those flash flood warnings kind of issued every single afternoon. And those mountain thunderstorms, they're producing the rain. We need the rain, but it can be dangerous. But a lot of moisture out there. You can kind of feel the humidity. So it's kind of one of those things, Brian, where we need the rain, which is fantastic, but again, it can cause some problems, especially those burn scars. And if you're going to be recreating down in southern Utah, I expect probably more flash flood warnings around Bryce Canyon and Zion National Park. That's where we have a flood watch. A watch means the ingredients are there for flash flooding. A flash flood warning means there is actual flash flooding happening, and that's what we're seeing right now at the Cottonwood burn scar. And there's a new flash flood warning that has just been issued within the last 30 seconds just to the north of that area. So I expect to see more flash flood warnings later this afternoon. And there's some storms going up over the mountains of northern Utah. So everyone along the Wasatch Front is like, where's my rain, Chase? Well, it's monsoon moisture, so they go up in the mountains. But if we're going to get any that's going to drift off the mountains, right now the best chance might be Utah County, and maybe for the entire Wasatch Front tomorrow afternoon. So
just to overemphasize, as we take this live look outside right now here, beautiful timber in the background here from the Cottonwood Canyons area, which is nice to see. A little bit of moisture up there at higher elevation. But Chase, in short, your next big weather maker is more of the same?
More of the same. It doesn't change. The big question is, when is this high going to maybe move away and we don't really see all this monsoon moisture? I don't really see it moving very much. It might move a little west, a little east, a little north, a little south, which might bring that plume around the state of Utah. But really, the overall pattern doesn't change through the weekend and into next week. And I think we're having even more moisture next week. So if you're wondering where's all the valley rain, I think we'll have a better chance for those mountain storms to roll off into the valleys, especially by maybe Tuesday and Wednesday. We have a lot to go over coming up on 2 News at 4 o'clock.
All right, Chase, we will see you then coming up on 2 News at 4. For now, that main conversation is about those burn scars. And it's not just the Cottonwood fire that had burned over 97,000 acres. There's other large fires, but one that was very noticeable for folks along the Wasatch Front just a few weeks ago was the Bonneville fire, pushing towards a lot of those areas that are surrounded by the University of Utah Health Center. And today they had some folks out there, and they still do right now. They're working on just kind of getting things prepped for the what-if scenario. Are we in flood potential? Here's what they're doing today.
So today the efforts are that we've got well over 100 of our teammates here that are loading sandbags and then placing them on the burn scar. And our mitigative efforts up on the burn scar, like I said, are fourfold. The first level is we placed about 700 feet of cement jersey barriers all along the Red Butte Trail. In addition to that, along the Bonneville Trail, we've placed some cement K-rail or jersey barriers. Today we're loading the sandbags so we can also place those. And what this is intended to do is these barriers and sandbags are not intended to stop the water. It's intended to redirect and slow the flow of the water so our storm drains can actually manage the level of flow and runoff. And also the fourth level, in addition to storm drains, is down at the facilities themselves at Huntsman Cancer Hospital and Institute. We have 3-foot-high block walls that, should it get down to that area, would help to contain, to allow the storm drains to handle the flow. So I think we're positioning ourselves in as best of a position as we could be in.
So that was here in Salt Lake City, a live look in Beaver. Again, limited visibility with more cloud cover, but this is the area, Beaver County, and as you saw, that new flash flood warning just south of the I-70 corridor. That location already starting to get peppered by that monsoon moisture. But back here in Salt Lake City, a lot of fires to keep track of here, but this is about the Bonneville fire, and that is where they're right now preparing for the what if. And what does that look like? What is the percentage that something will come off of that burn scar? They addressed that just moments ago.
The fact of the matter is, we got the report back from the U.S. Forest Service, the U.S. Geologic Service. The risk level on this burn scar is lower than many fires that we've encountered. Approximately 71% of the burn scar area is a low risk. Only about 7% is a moderate risk, and the rest is no risk. So we have seen the models. There absolutely is potential for some debris flow. For a little bit of context, a low risk rating means the soil is very minimally changed from the fire. The fire was quick, it passed through the area very quickly. We didn't see that deep, hard heat that tends to change the soil. So while we have lost some of the plant structure, while we may still see some debris and water come down, it certainly is a lot better than it could have been.
And coming up in about 10 minutes, we will talk about some of that water that comes off of those debris flows, really dark, filled with just all sorts of things, and all sorts of things that were burned during a lot of these wildfires. That is something you are talking about, sharing pictures and videos of, and we will address that and share what's in that water potentially coming up in just a few minutes as we listen to you here on 2 News. Here's a live look at the Salt Lake City airport with, you know, the fancy artwork that they've built there and all that cool stuff. Inside of the airport right now, 90s Kids, you might know the name. He's on stage right now, I think. I don't know what is happening. It is pretty wild. But Flav himself making a presence here in Utah. There he is talking to people right now. But oh, and the SLC pilot pups are out there too. Those are some of the therapy dogs. Those are pretty cool. But there is a special ceremony held here today for She Weekend. As you take a live look right now from Salt Lake International Airport, this is part of the She Weekend celebration for women Olympic athletes. The event brings together Team USA athletes, fans, and supporters to celebrate women in sports. She Weekend is part of the buildup around the next generation of Olympic athletes. Well-known supporter of women's sports, that would be Flav, who is here. That is the headliner, if you will, of this event at the airport right now. And it's something that we can take a quick listen in, see if they're saying anything interesting. It might just be some chatter. Some pictures. Looks like some of the flight attendants. Obviously some sponsorship from Delta. And some crews there, and then as you see the airport, nice backdrop here as they send off some of these athletes. And coming up in a few minutes, we will talk about a new Olympic sport, which we actually have a nice little local connection to, and that is coming up in a few minutes as we listen to you here on 2 News. Continuing with Flav, a new Flav fan right here is Megan in the Content Center. You have that streaming right now. If people want to go back and maybe watch part of that, it was a very quick event today.
Yeah, so we have it up on our YouTube and our homepage. He met with everybody from athletes to crews to dogs, flight attendants, everybody's there. So it's not expected to go too much longer, but we will have it up on our Facebook and our YouTube page for you to watch afterwards if you missed that one.
Tusk's up. It's the time of year where you can get ready for NHL hockey back here in Utah. There's a big game that's going to be played here this year with the Winter Classic. That's about Rice-Eccles Stadium. And today, I believe the NHL put out, everything for fans? Is that right now on our website?
They did, yeah. So it's top of our homepage. They released their schedule for this year. They're playing 84 games. So you can find all the information about all of those games right here on the webpage. There's a couple notable games to look out for, including the opener against the Blackhawks, also a game against Las Vegas, Colorado. You can find that all on our homepage right here.
The Blackhawks are a familiar team in town. That would be the second time in 3 years that the Utah Mammoth, or hockey club as they were known the first time around, will have them here to open up the season. And the team's been pretty darn good to kick things off at Delta Center. We'll see if we can get that rolling. Something else that we've talked about here a lot on our show and throughout the course of the last month or two would be fires. I mean, and we finally have some resolution to one that we covered a little bit here at 2 News, the Timp fire in Utah County. We've got some of the pictures up here for you, but they arrested somebody that they believe, allegedly, as we like to use the term right here, is accused of starting this fire.
Yeah, so it's usually really hard to find people that started the fires and to track that all through the court system. So it's interesting that they did find him. This fire was in American Fort Canyon. It burned about 2 acres, and a witness saw the man start the fire, and he actually started another fire in 2017 that burned 17 acres in that same area. So he's got a history of it, which is quite interesting. So we're just going to continue to track that.
Lots on our socials. And as always, as we look over your shoulder here, selfies with Flav. You can see him on our YouTube page right now. Megan, thank you. Coming up here in just a few minutes, black widows, not something you maybe want to see around the house, but they're popping up in neighborhoods. Why this time of year? Ariel Harrison will join us after the break here, because a lot of you were talking about this. We hope to have some answers for you coming up.
From our Main Street newsroom, this is 2 News Live at 3:30.
Just shy of 3:45 here on 2 News Live on this Thursday afternoon. Thanks for joining us, taking a look at what you are saying on the socials, what you're talking about, what you're posting about, and hopefully getting some answers on a lot of those questions or concerns, if you will. This would frighten me a little bit. This is a picture here of a black widow spider that was shared with us from Ashley. This is a Lehigh neighborhood that is really talking about this topic after seeing a number of these. And then the more we bring this up, the more we hear of other people that are saying, oh yeah, I had one in my house the other day, or oh, I've been seeing them in the garage, and freaks me out a little bit. And I know it is for a lot of you on social media. Ariel Harrison joining us live, taking a look into this here based on the things that we have been seeing on social media. Ariel, what exactly are people finding in this Lehigh neighborhood?
Yes, we came to Lehigh today to try and track down that specific retaining wall along 3200 North. Didn't have any luck, but it is a really hot time of the day, so these types of spiders, they're nocturnal. They don't come out in the middle of the day, so we haven't seen them, but you can see from that video and photos you showed, Brian, that a woman who was out on a walk recently on 3200 North says she saw more than a dozen of these spiders along a public-facing retaining wall like the one you can see behind me. And as you can imagine, this was pretty concerning to her, a public-facing area where kids frequent.
So I know you've been making some phone calls on this, trying to find who would handle the expertise in this subject. Should people be worried if they see a black widow at all? What should they do?
Yeah, so doing this story today, I reached out to a bug expert. He's an entomologist, a board certified, who deals with these kinds of pests. He has his own pest control company and taught me a lot today. Black widow spiders are the most venomous in Utah. And while they are venomous, their bite isn't typically fatal, but it will hurt. So he says it's really important to take extra precaution, especially this year, because we had such a warm winter that the black widow population is more rampant. Those warmer temperatures in the winter have allowed them to breed, lay more egg sacs, and be, again, more prevalent in communities. So to him, it's no surprise that this woman was walking in an area like this and saw, like she said, more than a dozen in a nearby area, a close proximity, I'll say.
So Ariel, you are looking into this because a lot of people are talking about this on social media. It kind of spearheaded us to want to get some answers or at least more information about this topic. As we do here, you know, you see something on a public sidewalk or a public right-of-way. Who would handle this sort of situation? Would this require a phone call from somebody that's concerned?
Yeah, so that was Ashley's concern online. She said, well, how dangerous or concerned should we be? And who's responsible? Because, you know, there are companies you can use to spray, or people that just remove them themselves at their home properties. But being that this involved a retaining wall, she asked, the city responded because she had publicly shared this. And the city more or less told her and myself, as I reached out to them, that in this instance, where she's describing it on one of these kind of walls, that it is up to the property owner. And so that's something that was shared with us today, that it's up to a private property owner to be taking care of that, and it's really up to them.
Ariel Harrison, I know you love spiders. How do you find an identifying factor on a black widow?
Say that one more time. How do you find what?
How do you find the identifiers on the black widow? How do you spot one?
Oh, right. Yeah, they have that bulb-like body, and you can see that red hourglass shape. It's pretty discernible. Their legs are bulky. We have some video we're going to show you. It sounds like there's in fact video up now, but in gathering this story, you can imagine I've been digging into some video of these really iconic spiders. And if you want to see some really creepy video, you should tune in at 5 o'clock on 2 News. But yeah, they have that iconic red hourglass figure, and you can't miss them, but you do need to be careful because they are very venomous.
Ariel Harrison reporting live for us here on 2 News Live. The iconic Black Widow, the iconic Ariel Harrison stopping by on the show. Thank you. Cottonwood water, we've talked about this, the black water coming off of the burn scar. What is this? We've seen a lot of the video, a live look in the Cedar City area as we've got this for you in the central southern part of the state. But just north of that would be this general location where we've seen the burn scar water already come off of that area. Dark black water in the Beaver River area. It's from ash. It is from charred debris. A lot of you have been asking questions, what's in this? So it's a combination of the sediment washing off the fire area. This happens with all of the wildfires, but as we heard earlier, in some of those specific areas, it depends on how much damage was done to the soils. And we heard that from some of the folks in Salt Lake City when they were talking about the Bonneville fire just a few minutes ago. The runoff can lower water quality, clog fish gills, cover their habitat, and make it harder for them to survive overall. We also mentioned to you something that is new in the Olympic sports realm, something that you are talking about on the socials and online in an article that you're reacting to on KUTV.com. Olympics, we have that here, that feel in Utah, and of course 2034 right around the corner. Before you know it, we will have more of that here. But this is what we are talking about, a new Olympic sport, synchronized skating. We will have the debut of that in 2030. Utah, no stranger to skating-related sports. I mean, we've got the oval, we've got speed skating, and this highlight here would be on synchronized skating. Our very own Jenna Fink is a great skater, and I was hoping she'd be here today to talk all about this because she's the one to answer these questions. But Synchro 9 teams will be introduced in the 2030 Olympics, and they will be teams of 9. You see a lot of the routine right here.
I'm an IFB1, and then I'm...
There's a big moment for the sport here. They've waited for decades for Olympic recognition. There is the free ride skiing and snowboarding that is also set to debut. By the way, that's another big sport here that we've got. And take a look at the Olympic Park, right? This is Utah. For people that don't live here, they think a lot of Park City. They think a lot of the training facility. And here's where a lot of it goes down, up there on the hill in Park City. Olympic State, more Olympic sports, and you can bet more Olympic athletes coming out of the Beehive State as we make our way to our next Winter Games before they make their return to Salt Lake City in 2034. We'll be right back to wrap things up here on 2 News Live at 3:30, looking ahead to 2 News at 4. In the meantime, as always, what you're posting on social media, we are listening to you. Keep them coming. Stay loud. We see what you're saying, and we're trying to get some of those answers for you right here on 2 News Live every day.